So I got into this, planted a church in 2004, pastored it for about 7 years, wound up having some bad accident, broken neck, brain trauma, a lot of things, so a stretched out medical recovery time. And as I was in that recovery time, started looking, spent a lot of time in my neighborhood. We had, during the years of our church plant, we'd invited everybody on that street to come to our church. One person had come once. And it just impacted me that there are some significant limitations in a you've got to come to church to get the goodies approach. So my antenna was very sensitive when I heard, how do you train normal people to go into where they live, work, learn, and play, and take Jesus in that way? Because I just realized my neighbors are off the table for a you gotta come approach. They're completely non-starters for that. So when I heard about the DMM, I was very interested in it, and the closer I got, the better, the more attracted I was to what this was about. And we started about a couple of years ago at Peninsula Covenant Church, training our congregation in DMM. We basically announced it from the front. We had people, early adopters, come in. We've trained about 50, 60 people now. And one of the things that we realized is that DMM, we would tell our people, hey, you need to be listening to God for who He's going to have you. Who are the people where you live, work, learn, and play that the Father's already drawing to Jesus? Get out of your mind going and try and bash somebody who has no interest, and you're going to somehow convince them to be interested. We started talking about, we want to help you look for the right red tomatoes. You know, you get a tomato garden, we have 19 green tomatoes on that plant. You don't pick them today. You're looking for the one that's red. You don't kick the green ones out of your garden, but they're not ready today. So we were helping people, how do you look for that right red tomato? And our people, they're like, oh man, and you're talking about praying and asking God to lift us up. And so they started feeling, well, I can actually do this. This actually sounds like something, because you're kind of letting God do the heavy lifting, and you're working on stuff where He's kind of, I think all of the evangelism they'd ever heard about was like, you know, being stuck in to home plate at a major league game, and you've got a major league pitcher throwing a 95-mile-an-hour fastball that's ducking, diving, and twisting, and they're trying to hit it. And they're like, I just can't do that. And we're saying, guys, it's more like T-ball. You know, you're waiting for God to tee somebody up. And that has been prepared. Billy Graham would totally have no impact on him. But because of the way the Lord's wired you and set that up, it's T-ball then. And so our people are getting into this. But we're saying, hey, pray for God to lead you to people that the Father's already drawing. John 6:44. No one comes to me unless the Father who sent me draws them. You can't talk them into it. But if the Father's drawing somebody, you can jump on that wave and you can surf it. But our people said, you are assuming a lot. When you say look for somebody that God is drawing, you're assuming, and pray for this, you're assuming that I have a prayer life. You're assuming that I know how to hear God's voice. And we kind of realized, you know what, we've got to do some preparing the soil a little bit along with the DMM, because the DMM is, the start line for doing this was a little bit out in front of where our people were. When I got first exposed to it, I was in a room like this, where you've got your eager, missionally minded, you know, you're kind of cherry picking from around the Bay Area. But when I took it into my congregation, I realized that's not where all of my people are. So we had to go back, or we did go back, and we had a series over the summer. I printed like 12 of these, but you can take just you can get a representative sampling at your. I'm gonna hang on also. Actually, you know what? I can give you this one because I got a book. But that book, The Art of Neighboring, kind of in a philosophical way, raised the point that, you know what, believers in churches, they're not that relationally connected, oftentimes, to people who need Jesus. They do their Jesus thing with their Christian friends, and they don't know what to do in terms of having the aroma of Christ in their neighborhoods. So we went back with Q Place, and came up with this very specific, the arts of spiritual conversation. We had a sermon series on this, to saying, let us help us get our people up to the up to the start line of where DMM fits in. You've got to know some people. You've got to be praying into this. Lord, lead me to those ripe red tomatoes. Who are those people? Have I ever prayed even for my neighbors? Am I even noticing my neighbors? Who's going through a divorce? Whose parents are sick? What's going on? But anyway, you can see them kind of left to right, from top to bottom. Those are the topics that we went through. And they're starting to feel very empowered to say, oh, wow, if I start noticing the people at work, I start praying for them, I start listening to what they're actually saying. And when you say, how are you doing? And I'm actually listening for the answer. And then down in their process, sharing the gospel, or sharing your faith story, that's step 9. There's a lot of preparatory work. We just realized that we had to go back a little ways to get people into the game.